what's your name? You did a fantastic job. And I was like, there's no way, dude. You guys had the answer in front of you? Oh, no, we're not doing this anymore. And I kicked myself out of the business honors after that.
I did 4 days in Cancun prison.
Oh, wow. I want to hear that story, yeah. And I called the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. And I called this person, and I just remember hanging up the phone being like, dude, if this person was supposed to be the person to save me, I am screwed. Like, this was one of the worst calls that I've ever been on in my
I'm more depressed now.
I was like, oh, no. This offered no help whatsoever.
I didn't speak any Spanish, like none at that time. I still don't speak a ton, but I can speak a little. But I spoke no Spanish. And somehow I was able to get along and communicate with everybody in prison. And there were a couple guys that knew English, but the most part, like, they didn't know anything.
The second trip around to Thailand, I had smoked some weed on a beach,
Yeah.
and I watched my whole life change.
I'm with Tristan Yoder, and Tristan is big in Instagram. You can find him at Tristan Social. And I met Tristan the other day. He's got a very interesting story, so I thought it'd be good to talk to him and have him share some of that story. But one thing that's interesting, I think, with Tristan is, I believe in January you had, what, 40,000 followers?
Yeah, January 1st we had 45,000.
So 45,000 January 1st, and now you're at 905,000.
905,000, yeah.
Yeah, congratulations, that's amazing.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
So what do you think, I mean, I've seen your videos, and I'm just curious what your perspective is. Why do you think it grew so fast?
It's a combination of a few things, but I would say, like, at the base root of it, there's a fear that a lot of people have, especially men. My audience is 95% men.
Okay.
And that fear is approaching somebody and expressing how they feel about them.
Yeah.
And when you see somebody not do it once, not do it twice, but do it 3-4 times a day consistently, what I find is people will come and watch one video, and then I'll post another 2 in that same day. And then eventually it's like an avalanche where it's like, dang, I just watched 7 of this guy's videos.
Yeah.
I have to follow now. So, yeah.
So if people don't know how to pick up girls, they can watch you and maybe get some, technique, or is that the deal? Or
Yeah. So one thing that separates me from a lot of the dating gurus or coaches out there is, instead of like me saying, don't say this or never do this,
Right.
I'm actually just doing it. And like, you can learn from me doing it better than you can watch a talking head video of me saying, oh, this is the 3 things that you never say.
Yeah. So you say there's not like 3 things that you never say. You just kind of, everything is just kind of like from the hip. Kind of like, I'm just going to approach this girl and I'm going to see what kind of transpires. Is that it? Or?
Yeah, so I recommend for everybody starting off to have a game plan. Like if you were to go into sparring with boxing, it's like you want your jab, you want to know what punches you're going to use, but after you start boxing for years, then you can just walk in there and kind of like throw your hands around or have drunken style, and it's like you can kind of throw the rules out of the window. So I've gotten to the point where I've done so many approaches, either for business-wise, selling solar panels door to door, or for romantic-wise, talking to beautiful women, that I can kind of say pretty much anything, but deliver it with an energy where it becomes accepted.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool job. I mean, that you've created. I mean, there's worse things in life to go do. So when you pick up a girl, are you like just? I mean, if you're doing 3 a day, I'm assuming you're not picking up all 3 in one day, right?
No, so at this point, I have a girlfriend now,
Okay.
and at this point, it's really kind of like sport fishing.
Okay.
It's like, I'll go.
So it's catch and release.
Catch and release. But
Okay.
beforehand, like, oh man, this is gonna, like, the Me Too movement is not something that I really fear, but I love the skill of like being able to meet somebody, talk to them, go to a date with them,
Right.
and then like taking them back to my house in the same time period, like never leaving. I think
Right.
it's such a magical, like teenage guys are all watching me from their bedroom, like, oh my God, there's no fucking way he did it. Like, and can we cuss on the?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
If we can't, we'll just edit it. But
Okay,
I cuss periodically, and
Sure.
it seems to go through. Yeah, that's fascinating. So you have a client that's paying you to go to Bali to help him? Is that?
Yeah. This is like a new avenue for me. But I have a client that's paying me to come out to Bali, all inclusive plus cash on top, and then I just get to hang out with him and show him how to socialize and like a network kind of like this. Like, There's a lot of similarities between Bali, Playa del Carmen, Tulum. It's
And then where is he from? Is he from like the U.S. or?
yeah, he's from the U.S.
He's from the U.S. Mm-hmm. And he was just one of your followers that reached out to you and.
So I invested in a mentor. His name is Wes Watson. He's really big in the personal development space. And I was in Miami and I did a workout with him. And Wes Watson put me on his story.
Yeah.
And then this guy was watching Wes Watson's story, and then he found my videos, and he's like, dude, I've been in Bali for X amount of time, and I haven't really made friends. Like, this is going to be a great investment. At first, I didn't want to go. I'm cozy here in Mexico. Like,
right.
I got my content routine. I'm very happy here. But he was like, all-inclusive, money on top, and your girlfriend can come. And I'm like, all right, we're going to Bali. And,
so how long are you going to be in Bali?
for the month of June.
Oh, wow.
And then I would like to turn it, I would love to get into like the Dubai, Saudi Arabia, kind of like big money.
Yeah.
Because those guys, like, I mean, I have one student out there and I told him the price and he's like, do you want USDT or Solana or Bitcoin?
Yeah.
What do you want?
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, I could have told him double and he wouldn't even flinch.
Yeah,
like,
It'd be interesting in Dubai because you'd have to be careful. I think you could pick up the local girls.
It's a different game. Like I like to relate to kind of like it's like a video game. You have different servers that have different rules. Like the game that I use in Playa del Carmen is not going to be the same game that I use in Bali. Similar, there's similarities, but I'm going to be going different.
Yeah.
But especially different in like Saudi Arabia.
Now you're also bilingual, right? Which that has to help a ton here in Playa.
Well, yeah, man. It's like these Colombian girls, these Argentinian girls, these Mexican, they don't speak no English, so
Right.
so it's like I like to hang out with them, so I gotta like to speak Spanish.
So do you find more girls here from Colombia or Argentina or Venezuela? Or?
Argentina number one by far. It's
Yeah.
the streets are flooded here. It's like every third person is from Argentina. Every third person is from Cordoba.
Yeah.
And then number two from outside sense, I would say other parts of Mexico. Like you find a lot of girls from other parts, like the north, or I think Mexican women are so sweet, so simple.
Yeah.
Argentinians are a little bit more fun, a little bit like crazier. It's a little bit faster time. But yeah, and then third, I would say American girls. Like there's American or Canadian girls. There's a lot of Canadian girls out here too.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Especially on vacation.
Yeah. And that's a dual-edged sword of being out here in Playa. It's like it's hard to develop deep relationships with these people because it's such a transient city. It's in and out, in and out.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, my girlfriend's from Argentina, so I can relate to definitely a lot more going on. And I still can't used to like she wants to eat dinner like at 10 o'clock at night. And
I'm like, what are you doing? I want to go to bed.
So at 5 o'clock she'll make a snack or a brunch, and then at 10 o'clock we're eating dinner, and it's like wow. And then I made the mistake one time. She asked if I could take her and her friends to a party, and I'm like, yeah, okay, it was like New Year's Eve or something, and they didn't the party didn't start I think till like 3 a.m.
Argentina style, yeah.
It's like, are you fucking kidding me? It's like 3 a.m. You're like starting the party at 3 a.m. And like all of her friends came, and I took them all to this jungle house. It was ran by that Loco Luxury company.
Oh, nice. I heard good things about them.
Yeah. So anyway, that was that. But yeah, it's definitely different from the Argentinian women are definitely different. Now, have you been to like Medellin?
Yeah, I've been to Medellin, and like I was referring to, like your play style is going to be different there. Like, free game for anybody watching this. Like one thing that I like to do to supplement my game wherever I'm going is I'll go on Instagram and I'll leverage my following and use paid advertisements in story posts. So like I'll put up a story post saying like, oh, we're looking for girls for content creation because I have almost 1 million followers now. And like me and my buddy Diego Day, when we were out in Medellin, we would fill up a house with like 7 girls, 10 girls, and do a podcast. And have like a big circular couch and like all these beautiful girls around. But if I was gonna go to Dubai or something like that, I would use that kind of like story post, boost it to who do you want it to see, ages 21 to 40, whatever your fancy is.
Right.
In this geographical location, this demographic, these interests, and yeah.
Interesting. So, and I'm hearing that. What's that noise? So, when you're going to, are you going to do that same thing in Bali, where you let people know you're coming or not because you're dedicated to the one customer?
Well, Bali's kind of like Playa, where there's a lot of events happening. There's a lot of people that are already moving around there, and there's kind of like veins, I like to call them, of concentration of foot traffic.
Yeah.
In Medellin, you have Poblado, but it wasn't like Fifth Ave. I think Fifth Ave is like a gold mine of a foot traffic zone where you can just walk around, meet a cute girl, go take her to coffee right then and there, because it's such like shirt off, beach vibe, like, hey, let's go hang out.
So is it easier to pick up women in Playa or in Colombia, in Medellin?
Different game, because I've seen, like, in Playa, I can't get 7 girls together on a pretty quick notice.
Yeah.
In Medellin, I can run ads maybe for $12 an ad spend. I can get 15 really good looking girls, and they're all ready to like get a $2 Uber taken over to the house that evening or the next day. So different games.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know a lot of guys from Playa have went to Medellin, and they're like, from a woman's standpoint, there's like no better place in the world.
No, just one thing that I've noticed, especially with the Colombian in general, their emphasis on appearance is much higher, much higher. Like dental hygiene, I'd say.
More so than Argentinians?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like plastic surgery, veneers, cheek filler, lip filler. It's all presentation is top notch, especially Medellin, like specifically Medellin.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever been?
I've never been. I've wanted to go. I wanted to take my girlfriend, and everybody keeps telling me not to take sand. But they said don't take sand to the beach or something like that.
There's. I mean, my friends are telling me, why are you taking your girl to Bali? It's like kind of the same concept. Yeah.
I guess we talked earlier. You grew up in California. Mm-hmm. You went to college at UC Fullerton?
Yeah, Cal State Fullerton, yeah.
And what did you study there?
I studied selling weed.
Selling weed.
My major was selling weed, and my minor was communications with entertainment and tourism.
You know, it's funny. Communications used to be a degree that was worthless. And when I talk to people now, and they said, well, if you don't know what you want to do, go get a communications degree.
Sure.
Because it sets you up for so many things in life today. Whereas years ago, it was probably a worthless degree. Mm-hmm. But now it sets you up for sales. It sets you up for Instagram. It sets you up for all of that. I think it's a great degree to get.
I've said the same exact words. If you don't know what you want to do, go to Cal State Fullerton and get a communications degree. Yeah. It's like not super difficult. Like, I mean, from my perspective, like just being a talker, and it's enjoyable coursework. I didn't like look at the work like, oh, this is a drag or like. I started off doing business in like the business honors program. They had like a special program, and I'll tell you a funny story. I came in late to one of the business honors special classes. And I sat down, and we had a blue piece of paper in front of us, and then we had a speaker at the front of the class, and he was like, all right, what would you say the definition of leadership is? And everybody in the class, maybe 20 students, was quiet, no response. And I looked down at the piece of paper, and it said leadership. Yeah. Definition of leadership, and I raised my hand, and I said, I think the definition of leadership is I just read it off the paper, and he's like, what's your name? You did a fantastic job. And I was like, there's no way, dude. You guys had the answer in front of you? Oh, no, we're not doing this anymore. And I kicked myself out of the business honors after that.
That's funny.
So, yeah, if you can have the answer in front of you. Communications at Cal State Fullerton. If you're watching this right now, you're looking for something to do, and you got some, FAFSA, go get a communications degree, yeah.
Now, did you play any sports at Fullerton? Or?
I was on the college jiu-jitsu team. Okay. And that was a huge transformational time period for me, and the learning of the art of self-defense. And like that allowed me to relax so much more. Like shortly after that, years after that, I started doing meditation, which gave me like internal peace. Yeah. But after learning jiu-jitsu and spending a couple summers with the team over there and like competing, oh man, like I became so much less of a chihuahua, kind of like less barky, like less like because I know what I'm doing now. Yeah,
that's interesting. Mm-hmm. It's like my dog. It's right. He doesn't. He's not. He doesn't bark. He just gets you if he.
yeah. You got a big dog. The dog understands it. It's
so when you have that confidence, then you just you're like, okay, careful, and yeah, that's interesting. So how long have you done jiu-jitsu? Do you still do it?
I do it here and there. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I need to get back into it. But I would say right now, especially, like my main focus is like keeping my physical health, like calisthenics and whatnot. But social media, like I have this kind of like, I haven't even seen Avengers, but I know there's this thing called the Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
And like my idea is like, okay, if I get 1 million followers here, that's an Infinity Stone of the Instagram stone.
Right.
I go over to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, blah blah blah, whatever you want, collecting Infinity Stones. So that's kind of like my.
So is your YouTube also Tristan Social?
Yeah, YouTube is also Tristan Social.
What about TikTok?
TikTok is Tristan Social. YouTube we have like 5,500 subscribers. TikTok we have like 55,000. It's just I haven't put the same energy.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about Instagram is like you can build really deep relationships with people through DMs, through your stories. If you treat them right, it's like a mini webinar every single day that just runs. And it's like, huh, that's a cool perspective.
So how many messages do you get a day?
Oh, dude, you wouldn't believe it.
Well, I get like a ton. I probably get 40, 50 messages a day. And so I can't even imagine what you're seeing.
Yeah, and it depends if I put up like a call to action or like a question,
right?
Or like a video starts to go viral. Because the funny thing about Instagram is like stuff can go viral a month later, 2 months later, 3 months later, and it's like there's no real rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've had days where I've gotten 1,000 messages, like
really?
Legitimate 1,000 messages, people coming in like either inquiring about a program or responding to a story post that I made or asking for advice.
How do you keep up on that?
I have an appointment setter. Like, I need to do better at engaging me personally inside of the DMs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have an appointment setter. I have a partner that I work with that kind of runs systems and operations because it's very, very overwhelming when like you try and like sit on your computer and start responding to one person and then you have 18 different conversations going and it's like who would I prioritize? Oh, all right.
Yeah, it's difficult for me. I mean, I can't even imagine. But, like I've got people that I've resorted to say, okay, send me your email so that later I can go and like search for the @ symbol or something and say, okay, let's pull these people out. These are the people I need to follow up with.
Sure.
But yeah, it's difficult. So you have a person that does that, and then you're big into the coaching, right? So you do. Yeah. Tell me about the coaching program you do.
Yeah. So I have 2 different layers of it. One of them is virtual group coaching. And then the other one is immersion in person. So I just had one of my actual first called boot camp clients.
Yeah.
But he came out and spent 8 hours with me walking up and down Fifth Ave, and it's really just facing fears. It's like it's a super cool experience to see somebody hesitate, and then you punch them in the arm and be like, "Go! No, you paid for me to tell you this right now. You need to go."
So you do the boot camp like hands-on here in Playa. And so people can fly down here and book time with you to go do that?
Exactly.
And then how many people, like, how many boot camps do you run? Like, is it a week long? Is it a
weekend long? We're doing
weekend long?
Yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And you're just out on Quinta the whole time?
Quinta, the beach, we go to Chedraui. Like, I try and put them in situations where, they're likely to meet beautiful women in their hometowns. So it could be walking down the street, at a coffee shop, at the grocery store, at the library. Like, you don't really know where you're going to go.
So you put them through those same type of scenarios, and then you basically force them to go say something to the woman to make things happen.
Yeah, win, lose, fail, draw, it doesn't really matter. It's the fact that you can have the confidence to express yourself.
Right.
That's the biggest portion, yeah.
And so, I don't know if this has ever happened, but has it ever happened where like you put somebody through a boot camp and then you had like this one guy that for some reason just struck out every single time, or has that never happened?
Not yet, but that's why I really love Playa, because I feel like just the general air here is like, I'll open to conversation for you.
Right.
And even if she gives Instagram and she's not really interested, well, hey, at least you got some piece of evidence, like, okay, like even the smallest win. So
you do the in-person boot camps, and then how many people are typically in that?
I max out at 3. 3
you only do
students.
3.
Yeah, 3 students, because I want to be able. I haven't met a coach that I trust yet to be like, here, take this workload. I like being hands-on and like being able to watch transformation.
And then do you do an online thing too as well? So you do the online, you do the boot camp, and then you can do the personalized, like you're doing in Bali, where you're going right and working directly one-on-one with somebody.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how does the webinar or the online stuff work?
Yeah, so the online is cool. It's called the Brotherhood. One thing that has allowed me to evolve so much in my personal mental journey is releasing shame in a safe, confined space around like-minded individuals. And I got that here in Playa. Like, started a little bit over a year ago. I started going to an in-person men's group here, and it's been transformational. So,
Really?
oh my goodness, yeah. I've cried the hardest I've ever cried in front of these guys that I really trust.
Here in Playa.
Oh, here in Playa, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Shout out my boys Troy, Ryan.
What's the name of the group?
No name of the group. It's just some guys that get together on Thursdays. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
My
That's
boy
cool.
Devin.
So you go to Cal State Fullerton. You study communications. Did you finish? Did you not finish?
Yeah, I finished, thankfully.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Nice job. So then what happened? Then where did you go?
So I finished. I then moved to downtown Los Angeles, and I talked about this a little bit on my wall in Instagram. But I moved to downtown Los Angeles. I try and become a YouTuber, but I was still selling weed at the time, and I just didn't have a lot of focus. I didn't have any purpose, no real drive, and I was like, if I get to downtown LA, I'll be able to meet people, and I'll be able to become famous, and then all my problems will be solved.
Right.
And that didn't happen whatsoever. I remember just like facing depression and like just lack of purpose, lack of real drive to like really succeed in life. And then I was sitting inside of my 2002 Chrysler Sebring with the paint chipping off and like the interior falling apart. And I called the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. And I called this person, and I just remember hanging up the phone being like, dude, if this person was supposed to be the person to save me, I am screwed. Like, this was one of the worst calls that I've ever been on in my
I'm more depressed now.
I was like, oh no, this offered no help whatsoever. So at that point, the summer before, I had started knocking doors selling solar panels, got a couple deals. I think I made like in a few months span, like as a college student, maybe like 10 grand or something like that. As a college student, I was like, hey man, cool,
good deal,
cool summer gig. So I called up my buddy Brett Lambert and my other homie Jordan Clark, and told them I was going to come back and start commuting from where I was in Los Angeles back over to Inland Empire. Corona is where the office was, and start knocking doors again. And from that point, like, I got maybe like a month, not even, probably like 3 weeks into knocking doors again. And then I got into a car accident and I did a hit and run. I like ran into a parked truck, and it like, my Chrysler Sebring was like kind of low to the ground a little bit, and the parked truck came up, smashed my windshield, and I back up, and I have like a quarter pound of mushrooms in my car. And I'm like, I need to get rid of these mushrooms. Like, I'm inside of this neighborhood, it's 4 o'clock, people are outside like playing with their kids and shit. And I'm like, I need to go. Like, I panic. And I end up driving to a CVS, and the cops come and they find the mushrooms, and I had to self-admit myself into rehab to drop the case from a felony of, possession with intent to distribute to misdemeanor. And I got out after 45 days, had to be on house arrest for like another like 90 days or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's when I started taking knocking doors super seriously, knocking 7 days a week. Between the hours of 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. Because they said I was a traveling salesman, and I could be able to be outside of my house between these times.
I gotcha.
In the Southern California heat with some long pants on, covering an ankle monitor over my ankle. In that period of time, like 3 months, I made like $36,000. So
nice.
As
And you were selling solar panels then, or something else?
Solar panels, yeah.
Okay.
And
so
that was kind of
$36,000 in 3 months is pretty good.
It's not bad, not bad. Solar has definitely evolved a lot. Like, you can make $36,000 in 1 month selling solar now. But at the time, I was like, dang, I'm changing my life. I got sober at that time. Stopped selling weed, stopped selling mushrooms.
Yeah.
I remember the moment that I stopped selling mushrooms. I was the jail in Chino. I was in Chino. Yeah. And I remember I was with a dad and his son. And the dad was on parole for probation violation or something like that for possession of cocaine, and his son went in for armed robbery. Yeah. And the son, we're in the same bail office, and the son got a bail amount of like, I don't know what it was, like $15,000 or something like that for armed robbery. And they said my bail amount, and it was $27,500. I was like, I'm double the threat of society for having a quarter pound of mushrooms, and this guy is robbing people with, oh God, I'm not selling this shit no more. I'm done here.
That's crazy. So how many days did you do in the was it in the L.A. prison or Fullerton or?
It was what jail was it? It was San Bernardino County Jail.
Okay. And how much time did you do there?
Thankfully, it was 4 days. It could have been a lot longer. I got what was called OR, own recognizance, where I didn't have a bail amount. Like they removed my bail amount because I didn't have a record prior, and so it's funny in like the state of California. It's like now it's decriminalized almost. Like you have mushrooms, it's like
Right. Yeah.
Get out of here.
Right.
But at the time, it was like they didn't like. Legally, it was like, okay, it's the same as heroin.
Yeah.
But inside the court system, it's like, dude, there's people with like guns and shit like that. It's like, come on. Yeah. So I did 4 days. Dang, dude, there's almost a race war over a water fountain that I caused. Like, so we have blacks, Mexicans north, Mexicans south, whites, and others. They're like Asian and whatnot.
So the Mexicans split into north and south?
Mm-hmm. Norteño and Sureños.
So north being North Mexico and South Mexico, or
I didn't get too deep into the politics, but I know that there was two different groups.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was like more like American Mexicans and then like
Mexicans,
like no English speaking Mexicans. So I was in the medical dorm where it's like it's like less politics. Like you could mix and mingle and like.
So the 4 days you were there, you were in the medical dorm, like kind of like an in-processing type of.
It was still jail. It was still like I was still in like bunk beds and stuff like that. But this specific dorm was for people with medical issues. I don't know why I got put into there. I'm thankful that I did. But with that being said, so like I tried to wash my spoon and because you have to carry your spoon around everywhere. I don't know if people know this about jail, but like you have a cut inside of your jersey or whatever, your uniform. And you put your spoon in there, and you carry your spoon around with you everywhere. And you only get one spoon. If you lose your spoon, you're screwed. You don't get another spoon. Like so, I had washed. Somebody told me you can wash your spoon in this sink. And then I went over to the sink, and then this other Mexican guy was like, "No, you can't wash your sink in there." Yeah. And it looked like he pushed me, but he didn't touch me at all.
Yeah.
But there was almost like
a race war going.
Yeah, we're going. Yeah, the blacks are going to war with the Mexicans over this spoon inside of the sink, and I'm
man.
I'm like, get me out of here. I'm done here. This is not where I want to be, where I need to be.
So I'm asking you a question because I did 4 days in Cancun prison.
Oh, wow. I want to hear that story, yeah.
Yeah, I somehow, in the U.S., I have a concealed carry. And I was going and getting all of my personal belongings and bringing them back to Mexico, and somehow a 9mm ended up in my
oh, no way,
in my luggage, and it was loaded 9mm loaded with hollow points, so it came with 2 felonies. And so I spent 3 days in solitary confinement and about 24 hours actually in the prison itself. And from my standpoint, I don't know if you've ever done any solitary confinement at all. But no. I don't think I could have done another day. Like I'm not a suicidal, depressed person, but I was like getting very suicidal and depressed by myself. It was like the most awful. Like you don't have anything. You have no cell phone. You have no books. You have no clocks. You have nothing. Like nothing. You're just in a cell that's locked. And then there's a door. There were 4 cells in the room I was in when I was in solitary, and then I was locked in a cell there, but then outside of that, there was a door, and it was locked, right? And then it's open to the air, so the mosquitoes just eat you alive.
No way. In solitary, you were...
Yeah. And so that was... Woo! So from my standpoint, solitary sucked. When I went to the general population, which actually they put me through... they put me into... they call it in-processing. And from my standpoint, it was like... It was amazing. It was like everybody there, like in processing was a group of like probably 30 of us. And one guy was there for, killing his girlfriend. He was from Canada, killed his girlfriend actually up the road here. Supposedly. He said he didn't do it and all that, but the evidence I think is pretty strong that he did. But there were guys, armed robberies there. One guy was in there for cutting down a tree. There's certain trees in Mexico that you better not cut down. And he was going to make furniture out of it because somebody wanted that. And he was in there for that. But I think another guy was in there for rape. What was interesting, though, is it was such a tight-knit, like I was automatically part of that group, right? And I'm like, I didn't know the gun was there. It didn't matter, right?
Yeah.
You're guilty. We're all guilty basically here, and you become part of that collective, part of that group. And so after 3 days in solitary, being part of that group was like, I don't know, it was like such an uplifting feeling. It was like, wow, this is amazing. So like in my head, I rationalized that humans don't necessarily do well in without friends, right? And you put them with friends, even in a secure environment, like with no freedom. As long as you have friends, that's the most important thing I think in life. Was kind of my learning out of that was, this is amazing. Just the feeling you get, even though I'm locked up, the feeling I get with these guys in like a brotherhood, like they offered me like I hadn't eaten really in 3 days or 4 days, 3 days, because in solitary they don't feed you. So you're talking about like a spoon in the U.S.
Yeah.
In Mexico, they don't feed you. So there's no food, there's no water.
Mosquitoes, open air.
Mosquitoes and cockroaches are, just disgusting. But so they don't feed you. So the way people eat is their relatives and their friends bring them food. And so everybody that's in your collective, in your group, when you get food or water or whatever, they're like sharing everything. So they had, like as soon as I got there, they're like, are you hungry? I'm like, yeah, I'm starving. They're like, would you like a Coke and a sandwich? I'm like, yeah. And so I've got these prisoners bringing me a Coke and a sandwich. They're like, you want to smoke some weed? And I'm like, fuck yeah, who wouldn't want to smoke weed in this situation, right? But it was just a really cool environment. Now, I wasn't in the general population at that time, so I didn't have to I wasn't really ever afraid for my life. I would have been, I think, indifferent, maybe concerned. But I know, like in Mexico, you can pay to have like your own room.
Oh, really?
You can get girls in your cell. You can get, if you got the money, you can do all kinds of stuff in prison. But the camaraderie for me was really helpful. And I don't know if was that the same in the U.S. or? Yeah,
I remember thinking at one time, it's like, this sucks, but it's not like terrible. Like right. I'd rather be out, but I'm not like, oh my God, tearing my hair out to get out. Like, I remember having like some funny conversations and hearing different perspectives and like, so a few laughs, like a few good laughs inside of Gen Pop where I was. So I could definitely relate.
Yeah. The other thing is, I didn't speak any Spanish, like none at that time. I still don't speak a ton, but I can speak a little. So I spoke no Spanish. And somehow I was able to get along and communicate with everybody in prison. And there were a couple guys that knew English, but the most part, like they didn't know anything. But it was the conditions that you go through in a Mexican prison. Like the last 12 hours, they had me in this out processing cell, and I hadn't showered in like 4 days. Yeah. And as soon as I got in there, I'm like, hey, how do you guys clean yourself, man? I haven't like. Yeah, they don't give you toothbrushes. So no, yeah. That was like, that wasn't happening. But they pointed to the corner of the cell, and there was like this like barrel, and it had water in it. Uh-huh. And they're like, okay, there's your shower, and they're like, and they had like a bar soap. Nice. One guy gave me a bar of soap, another guy gave me shampoo. Oh man! And so you just strip it down and you just clean yourself right there. Same thing with your clothes. You wash your clothes in there and then let them hang up to dry. But it was interesting. But they were very, very, like I said, everybody shared everything. But they had, in my cell, there was enough room for 3 people to lay down, and they put 7 of us in there. Sure. And then there was this thing on the ground that, it basically like came up out of the ground like this. It was stainless steel, and it had a towel stuffed inside it. Like I couldn't figure out what the fuck it was. Uh-huh. And what that was is if you had to take a shit, that's where you took your shit. And the reason the towel was there was because underneath that towel, not only was the shit, but there were like millions of cockroaches. Oh God. Yeah. And so and so every time somebody take a shit, you'd have all these fucking cockroaches come out. Man. And then you're stomping on them, right? And then at nighttime, the mosquitoes come in. And this is like July in Cancun. Yeah. And they're real deal. And the mosquitoes are really, really thick where the prison is. So you got all these mosquitoes coming in, just eating you alive. At the same time, you got all these cockroaches that at night they're making their way out of this shitter.
Oh my
And they're
goodness.
coming all over the floor. So you're like stomping them. And
You're stomping and smacking stuff.
yeah, and these guys like so there were 7 of us. And I'm like, I can't sleep, man.
Sure.
So I'm like sitting the whole time. There's a guy laying here, another guy there, another one over there. And then 3 of the other guys, they just lay right on the floor. And you're walking through like pee. And you're walking,
no.
And they're like, and the cockroaches stomping and all that, and they're just laying right on the floor going to sleep. And I'm like, oh man, I can't do that. But it was pretty interesting. So I don't know if you have cockroaches in the U.S. prisons, probably, right?
Yeah, not that it wasn't too uncleanly. I remember like I said, this sucks, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's definitely not that.
Yeah.
I didn't have to step on any cockroaches or.
So nothing bad happened to you in prison?
No, thankfully not. And I definitely don't want to go back
Yeah.
and find out. Oh yeah, is this terrible? Like no, I definitely.
So let me ask you. You had some depression. You had mentioned a little bit.
Yeah.
Have you like experienced? So like I used to think. Let me backtrack. I used to think that hallucinogenics or psychedelics were like they would fry your brain and really screw you up. I watched a show on Netflix called How to Change Your Mind, and I've gotten more educated on psychedelics now. And now I'm seeing how psychedelics are being used to cure depression. They're being used to cure alcoholism, heroinism, other drug addiction. Also, people with PTSD or any other kind of traumatic events, they're using that. You don't seem depressed now. So did psychedelics play any role, I guess, in helping you transform into a more confident and upbeat person?
Yeah, and if you do too much, then that's where they start to falter. Like my mom passed away in 2015, and because I was selling weed and mushrooms and LSD at the time, I self-dosed like crazy.
Yeah.
And that started to have me start to have disassociation with life in general, like just being high all the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're kind of too numb to have depression at that point.
Right.
But then when you come out of that and you like want to get clean and like then you have to deal with like the repercussions of doing too much acid and too much mushrooms. And
Right.
like, I would recommend everybody to do mushrooms or LSD at least one time in their life.
Right.
I like to think of it like the brain is the hardware and then these are like apps or software and like.
Right.
See, yeah, you can go ahead and like do deep meditation and then go find yourself, or you can
Right.
take some mushrooms and be like, oh shit, like this is a cool software. I never ran this program before.
Yeah. I agree. I don't know about all hallucinogenics, but I've never done LSD. I've done mushrooms once. It was a very pleasant experience.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever laughed so hard in my life.
Cool story. I actually did mushrooms with my dad and my sister.
Oh, really?
One Christmas, yeah. Maybe like 5 years ago, we went up to a cabin in Northern California, and I gave them all mushroom gummies and then like a little bit of marijuana gummies too.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, my dad almost pissed himself laughing so
I
hard.
bet.
So
Yeah, I had never laughed so hard. It was quite enjoyable. And like I said, all my life I had such a negative impression of psychedelics, and now I'm realizing that there are a lot of good to them as well. All right, so you get out of you're now out of prison. You're selling solar panels.
Yeah.
You made $36,000 in 3 months. So then what happened?
So after that period, I had found out like the solar company that I was working for was taking so much money off the top. Like I had reached out to a friend of mine from high school, and he's like, "Yeah, they should be paying you like 3 times as much. Like I should have made $100,000 with the sales that I made." So that kind of kick-started the depression, like feeling of betrayal from something like
Right.
a company and these people that I felt like I trust. And I felt trapped at that point. Like this was end of 2018. So beginning of 2018, got arrested, went on house arrest, changed my life around completely.
Yeah.
End of 2018, I found out that the company was basically stealing money from me. Stopped selling solar panels for a little bit, trying to find myself. Ended up moving back to Fullerton, and was kind of just wasting life away. Like was sitting in bed a lot, watching Super Smash Brothers videos, like YouTube videos, like just watching my savings dwindle.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't have like my thing.
Right.
I didn't have something that I was pursuing. So I came across an Instagram ad about this one guy who was an entrepreneur through selling ATMs.
Yeah.
And ended up paying this guy $4,500 to be on a sales team. Complete scam. Just like paid cash, so there's no trail. Like gone, money gone.
He scammed you completely.
Oh, hardball, as scam comes. And not going to say his name, no names necessary, but after that I started going to speaking events and entrepreneurial events, and that's what really got me out of depression, was like finding that, okay, because I was in this like shitty time of like, I don't want to go to a 9 to 5 because I know better.
Right.
Like, I just can't go back. And they brainwash you in solar to think this is the greatest opportunity, you're making more money than a doctor,
right.
like there is nothing better than this. And it's like, well, what I liked about solar was the camaraderie and the brotherhood.
Right.
But the camaraderie and brotherhood, I was lied to, and it's like this, like I can't go back, but I can't stay here. So that's where the real like depression came from. I'm fucked. Yeah. Fucked if I do. Fucked if I don't. And so I started going to these networking events, and I'm like, oh wow, like you can make money doing a whole bunch of stuff. Like this is amazing. So 2019, this is the beginning of 2019. I meet this speaker. His name is Steven De La Cruz, and he had a business mastermind in San Diego, and he's married to a porn star. It's kind of like a cult almost. Like this business mastermind was a little on the cult side.
Right.
So I joined the cult, and I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. Let's. I moved down to San Diego. One thing leads to another. I end up living with his wife.
And his wife's a porn star.
His wife is a porn star.
Okay.
Yeah. His wife is a porn star, and a couple other people from the mastermind.
Okay.
And we have this like house in there, this great loft in downtown San Diego, and I'm having fun. I'm having a great time, like hanging out with this millionaire. But I'm still broke. Like I'm still not like working, not selling, like getting into credit card debt. And then I do mushrooms. Like this like mid 2019. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Like, this is great. You're in a cult with a millionaire, but you're not growing. You're not advancing yourself at all. So I started selling solar panels again. So this is like end of 2019. I get back in with some other friends, and it's great. It's awesome. And then 2020 rolls around, and we go to 10X conference in Vegas. Fantastic time. Like, I have videos from that. Like, made lifelong friends from that. And things are going great. Like I'm making 10K a month again, 15K a month again, selling solar panels, and then COVID hits, and then just like, what the fuck? Like, can't catch a break out here, golly. So COVID hits, and then like nobody's knocking doors anymore. It's like, bro, you're gonna go knock on a door. You could spread it through the screen door. Like if somebody's grandma dies, it's because you went around door to door talking to people. So I'm like, all right, dang. So I see one of my buddies post a Snapchat of him in Cancun. Yeah. And he's at like a hostel taking body shots off a cute Argentinian girl. Yeah. I'm like, I know what I'm doing. Next week I hop on a plane, come down to Cancun, and we stayed in Tulum for about a month. Yeah. And like we got like $3,500 villa for like $800 in March of 2020.
Oh yeah, because of COVID there.
Just COVID, like it was a ghost town. Tulum was a skeleton. Like, but then, things started to change. I came back to Vegas for about 6 months, and then came back to Tulum in November of 2020. And that's when stuff was starting to open up again. Like, Tulum, late 2020 was amazing. Heaven almost. Like it was like, there's so many people here, everybody and their mom is here, that you don't need the COVID doesn't really exist. And from that point, I'm still struggling to find my thing. I'm looking for my thing. Yeah. But I meet some stock traders, and they had this group called My Stock Life, and they're like, "Yo, we just made it big off of penny stocks. Like they ran up a big number off of penny stocks and like the stock craze of 2020. Yeah. They're like, we love you, man. Like we love your energy. We want you to be the leader of the social media team here. Would you come move to Mexico?" And I'm like, I don't have any money. And my boy, he's like, here, I'll loan you $30,000. You put it in your trading account, and then when you double it, you just give it back to me. I'm like, is this real life? Like, and so that's how I ended up living here in Mexico. In that time period.
So they gave you $30,000 to invest.
Mm-hmm. So
and how did that end up?
It was pretty cool actually. So it was December of 2020, like late November, December 2020. I moved to Tulum to be with these guys, and then. Like January, February of 2021 was like one of the biggest stock bull market runs the world has ever seen. Like GameStop happened, penny stocks were hitting off the chart, crypto was running, Dogecoin came out, and it was like this crazy, crazy time. And I turned that 30K into like 120 in like a in like a 3-month time period.
Oh, wow.
So I took another 30 out, left some for taxes, and then gave them the money back. I'm like, thank you so much. Like,
Yeah.
let's get back to work. And then that time period, like the next like 3, 4, 5 months after that, it was kind of up and down. Like I was making money, losing money, making money, losing money. It wasn't the same, like they call it like beginner's luck in the stock market. And I got real lucky. I got real lucky.
So were you able to keep a lot of that then?
I paid off a lot of debt that I had built up because thankfully before my mom passed away, she gave me good credit. But I just used it to live out here in Mexico and just built up, some pretty nasty credit card debt. Paid that all off. But then I was like back at like kind of like square one. Like fuck, don't have. Yeah.
So you for those of you who don't know, we've talked before. So you started a fans only.
Yeah, OnlyFans. Yeah.
I did it again, OnlyFans.
Yeah.
So you started an OnlyFans. So tell me when was that time frame? Was that before you moved to Tulum or after?
That was after I moved to Tulum. So what had happened was I lived in Tulum from November to about September of 2021, the next year.
Yeah.
And I had left back to the States to go sell some solar panels again because I needed money. Like I was paid off all this debt,
right?
But I didn't have enough to trade with. You can't really trade with $5,000. You need a bigger bankroll. Like, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go back to California, sell some panels, make 10 grand, 15 grand, come back, make my 10 grand, and it's like a month and a half, and the team in Tulum starts to split up. Like people are going left and right, and the team's not the same as what it used to be, and people are leaving. So my original plan to come back to Tulum, I was like, all right, this doesn't seem like this is working, so let me come up to Playa.
Yeah.
And this is 2021, late 2021 this time.
Okay.
I come up to Playa, I'm like, dude, why did I ever live in Tulum? Like, this is great. What am I doing here? Like, I'm a skateboarder. Like, I like skating.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, there's roads. I can move around.
Yeah, the roads are big here. Yeah.
Yeah. Walmart, Home Depot. Like, if any shit hits the fan, I'm going to Walmart.
Yeah.
So late 2021, I come up and I'm like in and out, like kind of selling solar panels, kind of not, kind of trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But it was early 2022. I think it was like April of 2022. My buddy Diego Day does a street interview with me.
Yeah.
And this street interview goes like crazy viral. Front page of Reddit. On Twitter, it's like 50 million views or something like that. I don't know the exact number.
Wow.
But I went from 200 followers on Twitter to 20,000 in 1 week. And I'm like, I remember just like pressing the refresh button on my browser, 10.1K.
Yeah.
10.2K.
Oh, wow.
10.3K.
It's addictive when you get to that.
Oh my goodness, I'd never seen a serotonin rush like it before. Like it's very relatable to like doing Molly for the first time, or like I'm like locked in looking at my screen like, what the fuck is this?
And that was on Twitter?
That was on Twitter.
So how many Twitter followers do you have now?
17,000.
Okay, so you had more back then.
Yeah. Twitter's kind of. I don't really like Twitter. It's kind of.
I don't do anything with Twitter, so I don't understand it.
It's a dark place. You're not really missing out on too much. It's either you have FinTwit, which is the financial side of Twitter, which is like cool people, or you got like just loud minorities that like it's an echo chamber. Or you got like random violent clips. Like I can't log into Twitter without seeing somebody get killed. I'm like, dude, what the heck? Like I didn't follow any of these pages, but it's still popping up on my feed. So. You're not missing out on nothing on
now you have
Twitter.
More followers than Diego now, though, right?
Yeah, on Instagram. On TikTok, he still has me, but TikTok it's like nah.
And you guys talk very often?
Yeah, we talked today. He had me hop on a call with his men's group or his coaching program.
So he does a coaching program similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, and then who else is in your kind of group? Is what's the other guy? I want to say DJ or
Agi.
Agi.
Yeah, Agi's back in.
Is he in your group too, or?
Yeah, he's part of like the Playa homies.
Yeah.
So, in the Playa homies that create content, it's me, Agi, Diego, our homie Abs, but it's kind of like.
But Diego's not here very often, is he?
He was living here, but now he's real sparing. Like he'll come back maybe for like a week or two randomly.
Okay.
He's in Cyprus right now. Next to Greece, but when it comes to like my space of like pickup and like that type of content, I'm number one on Instagram right now, which is cool to say.
Yeah.
But it's Polo Kid, we have Eric Ronaldo.
So you're like the head guy for picking up women, or what's the category that you're number one in?
Yeah, like the first person point of view, or like picking up women.
So picking up women, first person point of view.
Yeah.
You're number one.
I'm numero uno in that niche, yeah. which is cool to say. Yeah,
That's very cool to say. Out of everybody in the world, you're number one.
in this type of content. And like I've gone viral in South Korea, I've gone viral in Malaysia, India. 10% of my audience is in India.
Really?
It's like, yeah. I'm huge in Bangalore. Like they love me in New Delhi.
That's funny. Okay, so you start doing the fans only when you're
Right.
OnlyFans, the fans only.
OnlyFans, yeah.
Why always OnlyFans? So you start doing the OnlyFans here?
In Playa, yeah.
How did that work out?
So it was just me, like, kind of jacking off a lot on camera. Like, these people were like, "Oh my God, this guy's so sexy!" Like, so I started jacking off on camera. I started hooking up with girls on camera, doing a couple of little things here and there. And I was like, "Dude, let me go to Thailand. Like, let me go hang out in Thailand." So I take a 3-month trip, like a soul searching trip almost.
Yeah.
I go to Thailand, spend a month out there. I go to Malaysia, spend a few weeks out there. Go to Vietnam, spend a few weeks out there. And then I go to Bali, and then I come back to Thailand. And on the second trip around to Thailand, I had smoked some weed on a beach.
Yeah.
And I watched my whole life change. Like, this was like, I was already like not in love with OnlyFans. Like, after the virality of that first pop, and like I didn't understand the business. And I was like, oh, I'm famous. Like, everybody wants to see me naked.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the business of it. And then I joined an agency, and they kind of just killed my account. Like, they just murdered my account.
Really?
They didn't know what they were doing with, like, male artists versus female artists. You got to understand the differences.
Well, you probably had a lot of LGBTQ.
Oh my God, there was 99%. like people, I would tell people like, oh yeah, I'm an OnlyFans star, and they're like, what do you do? I'm like, I talk to dudes online. Like, that's it.
So did you make money doing that?
Yeah. So first month I made like 12 grand.
$12,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
12 grand, and then I didn't understand the business, so it cut to like 6 grand, and then 4 grand, and then like 3 grand.
Okay.
So I was like, and then when I smoked weed, I'm like, dude, I'm not even making money doing this. Like,
Yeah.
I remember even before I smoked weed, I had a crazy mushroom trip in Bali on an island called Gili Trawangan. And I was laying in a hammock just gone off of these mushrooms. Like, it was not a peaceful trip whatsoever. It was like a very tumultuous, like mentally taxing trip. And I'm like, bro, you can pay $19 to see me do what? Like, what? There's no way. What the fuck am I doing with my life?
Right.
And like that kind of was the precursor to me smoking weed on time. Like, bro, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is not it. And then
and so you quit cold turkey. You just closed up your fans only. Your fans only page. OnlyFans, whatever.
Yeah.
You closed that up.
Yeah, I closed up shop on me being naked on the internet. And
so what'd you do for money then?
got back into credit card debt until about 2023. So like it was like November-ish of 2023 to maybe January, early February. I was kind of just bouncing around, like at this point I've been in and out of debt so many times. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna figure it out. Like I know how to sell. It's just what am I gonna sell?
Right.
So February runs around, like late December, I joined the men's group.
Yeah.
And that allowed me to release so much shame and just grow, like mentally. But February rolls around, February rolls around, and my buddy Demond, he's a high ticket closer for another guy. And he was closing like an e-commerce offer. Mm-hmm. And he was making a bunch of money, but he was working like a dog. Like they were working him like crazy hours, crazy number of calls. And he was talking about in the men's group that he wants to, create his own.
Yeah.
So I was like, at this time I had maybe I had maybe like 30,000 followers on Instagram or something like that from doing street interviews and like the OnlyFans stuff. So I was like, bro, let's team together. Like I'll ship my audience over to you. Right. You close them on how to sell. We make money together. So we had started, when he's taken this in blow, I'm so proud of him. Truly almost makes me like tear up. But we started in our apartment here in Playa del Carmen, he grew to over 6 figures a month. Teaching people, a month. $100,000 months, teaching people how to close high ticket deals, like a sales training academy, a virtual sales training academy.
Oh wow!
Shout out to my boy. Shout out to Next Generation Closers. Shout out to my boy Damon. I love you, brother. That's my boy. But yeah, he and I teamed together, and this was early 2023.
Yeah.
And we started teaching people how to close high ticket over the phone, over Zoom.
Yeah.
And I did that quit OnlyFans late 2022, started doing that early 2023 to about mid 2023. And then I was like, I'm not really loving this. My audience kind of started to get tired of me, yelling at them when they came from entertainment.
Yeah.
And it was like June, July, something like that. We were in Colombia together, and I'm like, I'm not really loving this. I'm going to go try and figure something else out. So at this time, I got funded with business credit, and I got maybe like, business-wise, maybe close to $100,000 in 0% interest business credit cards.
Wow.
And then before that, I had another $100,000 in personal credit cards. I was like $200,000 that I'm sitting on. It's like, what am I gonna do? So at this point, I'm like, yeah, let me figure it out. Let me take some time to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then in Colombia, it's really easy to get into your vices if you want to. So I'd like spiral deep down into vices again of like.
Yeah. You start selling big ticket items with your friend Dumont. Mm-hmm. And he's making 6 figures a month. You're helping him close big deals as well.
That was just recent. So we had started off. We had like a 20K month together. Like the first month, just off of my audience, which was fantastic. But then it started to dwindle down, and then we needed to get into paid advertisement to start to supplement. And I looked at it and I was like, I just am not passionate enough about this to go through the bumps and scrapes.
Right.
To get to the other side, and through the other side is now like where he's at this year, clearing $100,000 in a month,
right.
Off of the coaching program. So I'm like, I'm gonna go try and figure out something else. I had just gotten funded at this time with business credit, so I was like, let me do this. Let me teach people how to do this. I'm passionate about this. Did it. Was in Medellin. I was trying to balance building a business with negative habits.
Yeah.
Didn't work. So it's like November at this time. Like September, I traveled all around Colombia with my buddy Jordash, great trader, forex trader.
Yeah.
And September, October, November comes around. I come back here for a little bit. I run back into the same homie that was trading stocks. He's like, "Come trade with me." I'm like, all right, let me take my last, $25,000, even leverage a bit of credit to get back into the markets. Doesn't really work out with him. I'm not like in love with the habits that he has, like drinking and partying. And I'm like, this is not. I could tell my money's going to evaporate in the markets if this is the daily stuff. So this is December of last year, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck do I do? Like, all right, we'll get back into credit card debt. And like, trying to like, all right, figure it out.
Right.
And I see this kid on Instagram. His name's Polo Kid, and at this time he had 400,000 followers on Instagram. And he's doing the type of content that I do now with the glasses. And I'm like, I watch his stuff. I'm like, if this kid is doing it, I'm doing it too. There's no way, because he's not good. Like, he's gotten a lot better now. But watching him and then like, dude, if this guy built a whole following off of this stuff, and this is something that I do every single day just because I like to have sex, I'm doing it. I'm there. Yeah. Count me in. And then I got the glasses December 31st, New Year's Eve.
Of 23?
Of 23. Got the glasses New Year's Eve 2023. January 1st, 2024, started making videos, and now we're here.
Yeah, and your videos are really cool, I think, because they're unedited. They're just like live. It's just, that's what it is, right? It is what it is, and I think people appreciate that candor. It's just, you got all that transparency. I mean, that's really cool. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think we've covered almost everything except I saw a video of you. Looked like you had a black eye, maybe. And
busted lip.
So what's that story?
Yeah, so part of the reason I don't drink, I don't smoke. I can if I really want to, but I haven't in months. I choose not to.
Right.
But part of it is, I mean, first and foremost, I don't drink because it's expensive. It's expensive monetarily. It's expensive physically, mentally. Like, there's a lot of drawbacks to alcohol. But people are like, oh, why don't you drink? Why don't you drink? It's like, you don't like it? No, I like it. It's fun. Like, it's just expensive.
Right.
And when I was living in Tulum, I had started dating a girl from Germany, and it was like I had a relationship kind of thrust upon me. Like, I met this girl, we had a one night stand, and then she's like living in Germany at the time. She's like, oh, I want to come back. I want to come visit you. I'm like, all right, cool, come back and visit. Yeah. You're great.
And she just stayed.
And she just stayed. Yeah. So she like stayed around the house. She started cooking and cleaning, and breakfast was being made, and my laundry was being folded. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. I really enjoy this. And then like she canceled her flight. She quit her job. And then before you know it, I'm super single. Like before the videos, I was still getting girls. Like the reason why I did so successful with the videos is because I just put glasses on me doing what I was already doing.
So you were
before.
already getting girls easy.
I was already getting girls. I was already tearing up Tulum.
So,
like,
so you weren't ready for a relationship.
oh, not even in the slightest term.
And this
Like,
girl's moving in, and
I went from super single to now this person is living with me, and it's like,
so did she like understand that you were still like
oh no. It was
she wasn't good. She wasn't good with that.
no, not at all. And it was hilarious because it's like, what had happened was like she didn't have a job. She had a little bit of savings, but she needed to start making money.
Yeah.
So my buddy, who was doing the stock trading, he's like, oh, let's give her some money to trade for Bitcoin. So I went from being super single, hooking up with 2 brand new girls a week, 3 brand new girls a week, having a great time of my life,
Yeah.
to now living with a girl, and now she's trading with us. Now I'm working with this girl, living with this girl, and it's like the only times that I'm not with her is when I'm asleep, but I'm sleeping next to her, and it's like, oh God, no, I can't do this anymore.
Oh man.
So I remember one night all the team got together and we went out to the clubs, and I just remember aggressively drinking this night. Like this girl was still living in the house. She had ingrained herself into the community, so she had friends, but it was like she's still Tristan's ex-girlfriend, but she still lives here.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to still go back to being super single, but there's a girl living in my house that I used to date. So it's like this whole shitstorm that I inflicted. I don't want. It was my fault. It was 100% my fault. But I remember just aggressively drinking this night. Like, fuck it, we're gonna do it. We're gonna fucking do it. So we go to Hotel Zone, and I'm just drinking. Like, fuck it, we're doing it. And next thing I know, I wake up on the couch of one of my friend's houses, and I used to live in this house, but not anymore. So I still had the door code, and he had rented it on Airbnb. And thankfully, none of the people came. It's a 3-bedroom house, and they rented it on Airbnb. I don't know any of these people that are in the house right now, but they're all in their rooms. And I wake up, and you're like...
So you wake up in somebody else's house.
I wake up in somebody else's house with my face kind of sticking to the...
And Airbnb people are sleeping, and they didn't hear you come in?
They heard me come in, but they didn't investigate. Like, they didn't know what happened.
Interesting.
Right. So I wake up, my face is kind of sticking to the couch. I remember that. I'm like, what the heck? And I walk up, and I go back over to my house, which is right next door, the apartment next door.
Yeah.
And my buddy Matt is tripping on LSD at this time. He's talking to the security guard, and he looks at me, and he's like, we got to go to the hospital right now. We got to go to the hospital right now. And I'm like, bro, what? What are you talking about? Like, I was drunk. I just woke up. Like, nothing wrong. And he's like, no, we got to go right now. I'm like, bro, you're tripping. So I walk upstairs to my house, and we have a full body mirror. And I look in the mirror, and I see my face, and I'm like, oh, no way. I got fucked up. What happened? And I look at my shirt, and I have still, like, you can see a scar, like a road rash right there. So apparently something happened where I flipped over my bike. I investigate my bike the next morning. It's all messed up. Like, I don't know if I hit a rock and flipped over or something like that. But the whole, I can't remember. I think it was the left side of my face because somewhere I got like a scar right here.
So your bike had made it home with you though?
Yeah.
So you ended up wrecking probably and getting back on it and driving.
It had to be somewhere close because the bike was not operable, but it had to be somewhere close because I was parked in front of my house.
So you had to push the bike. Probably.
I was blacked out. I still to this day have no idea what happened.
So was that the first time you've ever had a blackout?
No, I blacked out plenty of times before. I went to Cal State Fullerton. They used to call me Double Fistin' Tristan. Like, I used to drink to black out. Like, it's like time teleportation. Like, whoa, what happened? But I think after I stopped drinking, or like I never like going out to bars because I sold weed.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you buy 1 gram, it's $10. You buy 28 grams, it's $140. You literally drop the price in half.
Right.
But you go to the bar, it's like, I want 1 shot, it's $10. I want 10 shots,
it's $100.
It's $100. There's no price break. And I'm like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. What do you this is terrible business for me. Like, I remember when I first turned 21, I was dating a really cute Indian girl at the time. And I ordered a beer and a drink. And I gave them $20. And they gave me 25 cents back. And I was like, what the fuck did you order? Like, what? She's like, I just got a cocktail. I'm like, what? This is the price break here? No, hell no. I'm not about this at all. And from that point, I'm like, I don't like drinking. Like,
yeah.
And from that point on, I was just like, drinking to only in like certain periods of time where I was like super stressed or like going through something. Mm-hmm. But when I first got to Tulum, I remember feeling so happy to be on the beach. This is during lockdown. Like, the world sucks at this time. And I remember just feeling like, dude, I don't want to do anything that would change this feeling that I'm feeling right now at all. No drink, no smoke. Like, it might make it better, but it might make it worse. And I'm very happy here. And I remember like telling people, no, I'm just like high on life. Like, I'm not drinking. And I watched everybody's respect for me go up. Yeah. And that was the biggest thing for me. It's like, oh, these people all drink. Every single person in this room drinks. Right. And I tell them I don't drink. Yeah. I could be the, financially most worst off person in the room, but they all
look up to you a little bit because you don't drink. Yeah, that's a good, interesting. And so, have you had any blackouts since Tulum?
No, that was the last time I blacked out.
That was the last blackout?
Yeah, that was the last blackout that I had, thankfully.
And you try not to drink at all now, but occasionally you do, or?
If I do, it's like if I do drink, it'll be a glass of wine to like have like really good sex with a beautiful girl.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, very cool. I've enjoyed our conversation. Is there anything I didn't ask you that maybe I should have?
You got like my whole timeline, like from graduating college. Like, we're
pretty thorough, yeah.
Yeah. You're a great interviewer. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
No, it's a great time. Yeah. This is. I'm gonna. If you have to chop this up and be like, yeah, you want the story of Tristan? It's like, oh, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. Yeah.